Hello, and welcome to our TalentLMS webinar session, Wearing Different User Hats. Today, we're going to talk how you can work with administrators, instructors, and learners. Before we get started, let's meet the team today. I'm Mary, I'm the Customer Education Manager, and I will be your host today, but I also have my dear colleague, Eirini.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eirini. I'm a Senior Customer Education Specialist, and today I will be here with Mary to show you how to wear different hats in TalentLMS.
Great, let's start. And you will be wondering what is on the agenda today. So today we're going to look at the different user roles in TalentLMS. You will be able to switch between the roles as an administrator, instructor, and learner. And we will also provide best practices for managing multiple roles in TalentLMS. Of course, we're going to have a live Q&A session at the end. I would have made sure to leave more time this time to answer your questions. But this doesn't mean that you cannot send your questions now. You can do this. We have Nick in the backstage answering all your questions during the webinar. And also, the session is going to be recorded, so don't worry, you will get a copy once the session is over. So let's start. As you may know, TalentLMS is a powerful learning management system that allows you to manage your organization's training programs, to create and deliver courses, track the progress of the learners. And one of the key features of TalentLMS is the ability to support multiple user roles. So this will allow you to wear different hats depending on your needs and responsibilities within the system. So we will see the administrator role. As an admin, you will have full access to all the features of the platform, and you will be able to create and manage the courses. You can add users, monitor the progress, and generate reports. We will also have a view what an instructor can do. So as an instructor, you have access to a subset of features in TalentLMS. You can create and deliver courses, manage the enrollments, and view learner progress. However, you do not have access to all the admin features, such as user management and the full reporting system. And we will look also how you can work as learners, because the learner will have access to the courses that is assigned. So we will see how a learner can view the courses that they get from admins and instructors, how they can view the content, complete the assessments. But you should know that also learners can track their own progress. So with that said, I will pass now the mic to Eirini to show you within the platform how this works.
Thank you, Mary. So let me just really quick share my screen. Here it is. I hope that you can all see my screen right now. So what you see here is the homepage. So let's log in. My credentials are here, and I will just log in. And the first thing I see is the administrator's dashboard, because my current role for this platform is the super admin. So from this dashboard, as an administrator, I can access all the features and functionalities that an admin has access to, like the account and settings, the import functionality, the branches, and so on. Essentially, admins can also create courses. So if I want to start creating a course, I can either click Add Course from here, or if I want to turn myself into an instructor and have access to the instructor's dashboard, I can simply hover right here and select the instructor. And right now I'm switching dashboards. Right now I'm the instructor and I have access to all the features that an instructor has access to, like the courses, the groups, the conferences, the discussions, and so on. And last but not least, we also have the learner. So if I click here, again, I will switch into the learner's dashboard. Training is an ongoing process, so admins and instructors also have the privilege to take trainings as learners. So right now, I can see the learner's dashboard. As a learner, my responsibility is to complete the courses I am assigned to. So for each course, I have a progress bar, an expiration date, if there is any. And of course, here on the side, I can click the course catalog and access the course catalog and pick courses on my own. I can access my own progress report to see in detail my progress. I can participate in discussions if I want to, check the calendar for any upcoming live events. And last but not least, the gamification. I can check my points, my badges, and also the leaderboard, so I can see who I compete with and what I need to do to collect more points and reach the top. And that's it from my end when it comes to switching in different roles in Talent LMS. So the floor is yours, Mary.
Thanks, Eirini. And you just saw how just one user can switch to 3 different roles. And let me share my screen because while Talent LMS offers several default user types, as you saw now, there's also the flexibility to create custom user types. So if you want to meet specific criteria, let's go to user types and explore what else we have here. Now, Eirini showed you how you can switch from one role to the other, and she was actually a super administrator. Usually, the owner of the platform that personally created the platform is also a super administrator. And this is a very powerful type because it can never be edited. So as a super admin, the owner can create other super admins, but don't worry, you're still the strongest person we have here because you can delete those super admins. The super admins that are not the owners cannot delete the owner, so don't worry. We also have the default user type of the administrator. Administrators have permissions to switch from the admin role to the instructor and the learner. As you can see, the difference between super admins and administrators is that this type can be edited. So if you want to remove permissions, you can edit the type. We also have the type of the trainer. Usually they just have permissions from the instructor role and the learner role. And your real learners just have the role of the learner because we want them to just complete courses. Now, we said that we can also create custom user types. And for example, for organization-specific roles, in many organizations, actually, there might be unique roles or job titles that require specific access and permissions within the portal. So, for example, you might have supervisors, and they need to just track reports, or perhaps content reviewers who are responsible for reviewing the content and make changes there. By creating custom user types, you can assign appropriate permissions and access levels to the specific roles by just clicking on each box, and this way you assign the permission to the type, and you will make sure that they have the necessary tools to fulfill their responsibilities. Let me give you more examples though. Maybe you have external collaborators. Do you have external stakeholders like contractors, because sometimes they need to have access to the platform, but limited access, if you know what I mean. In that case, we can create a specific type and give them permissions just from specific roles. But again, not all of the boxes should be ticked. And when you create a custom user type, and let's create one together, I'm going to name this content reviewer. Give it a name and add here the name without spaces. The system will not accept spaces in this part. And then decide which is going to be the default role of the user. Now, if you select here administrator, this type, when they log in, they will see first the admin dashboard, like Eirini showed you before. If we don't want this and we want the content reviewers in that specific case to log in and straight away have a view of the instructor, then let's choose here the default role to be instructor. We could also select learner. In that case, when they log in, they first see the learner dashboard. It really depends what would you like to be the focus point of that type. Do we want them to start as a learners? Is it more important for them to take courses, or they will be able to contribute to course creation? And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say that I want a content reviewer to start with instruct role. Perhaps they have the permission also as administrators to create courses. I'm gonna give these permissions to them, but I mostly want them to access the features of the instructor. And why not test some of the learner features? I want them to test the courses, so I will give some permissions here as well. So now it's important to save the type and assign it to the people that you want. Let me show you. I'm assuming that you already have some users here and now you're watching this webinar and you have new ideas on how to structure your training. Let's go to users. And I'm going to pick here Abby. And I'm going to just update the user type. Save that. And from that moment on, when Abby logs in, she will be able to see the instructor role with the permissions I have granted.
Well, I think I'm going to take the mic now from Mary. And since you explained how to customize your own different user types, and of course, let's not miss that you can also customize the existing user types too. Let's see together how we can follow up on those customizations, meaning how we can check if the user type we have created for that user has the correct permissions. So allow me to introduce you the impersonation functionality. So I'm just gonna share my screen really quick again. And let's test on Abby. Let's see if the correct user type has been assigned to that user. So what I'm gonna do is access the user list again by clicking users here. And once I find Abby, who is here, I can see her new user type, content reviewer. The impersonation button is located here. So if only you hover, the button will show up. So I'm gonna click log into account. And right now I'm impersonating Abby, as you can see here on the top. Abby is an instructor. That's the dashboard that we selected for her to access by first login. And I can experience what Abby will experience at this point. So this is how I can follow up on this. I don't need to log out and log in as a different user with different credentials. This is a really helpful shortcut. And if I want to return to my account, the revert button is here. And I'm back, Eirini, the admin of the system. So again, I don't need to log out and log in with my credentials. So as we said, the impersonation button is a great shortcut for this purpose, and you definitely save time since no logins and logouts. But we have a note here for you. Once you impersonate someone, every click matters. If you save something while impersonating, it will look like that user did it. So to avoid affecting your users' accounts, you can simply create a test account and impersonate that account. And with that said, again, back to Mary to see what else he has for us.
Super useful feature. You should use that. It will save you time when testing or troubleshooting, actually. And now the next thing I would like to show you is how to set a different default user type per branch in TalentLMS. This feature is particularly useful when different branches have unique requirements or when there are some differences in the roles and responsibilities of users across the branches. And if you're wondering what is a branch, it's this feature right here. It will allow you to create separate training environments for specific audiences. Now, first, let me go here in account settings on your main site. Maybe you haven't noticed, but under the users tab, you have selected where there's a default option already. So we have selected for you, and you can change that afterwards, that the default user type is the learner type. What does this mean? Every time you create a user, if you don't specify what is their user type, the system will assign them automatically to the learner type, which is the safe thing to do. Imagine if you have here administrator type and you have random people sign up into the platform. We don't want them to have these permissions. They can make changes to your platform. We don't want that. So it could be the learner type or another learner type that you have created. So what I'm showing you here, it only affects the main site. So if someone has the main site URL and they sign up to the main site, they will get this user type. But now let's create another user type that might be used in branches. By assigning a default user type per branch, you will ensure that users in each location or department for any reason that you're using branches are automatically assigned to that user type. And this means they will have specific permissions when they access their branch. For example, you might create branches for different countries. Maybe you have offices all around the world, and in each country, the employee should have different permissions. I'm gonna give it a name, again, without any spaces. And I'm gonna decide that the default role is the learner because I want just to create a learner type with limited permissions. Perhaps learners for a specific branch should not be able to take courses from the catalog. So I'm gonna leave this unchecked, but I want them to complete courses, of course, access their progress, gamification, which is a really cool way to engage users, use that, and send messages to users, but perhaps they shouldn't be able to update their profile. So after you're done, save this custom user type, and I will show you how you can set it to be the default user type for a branch. Let's head to branches. You see here a list of the branches I've created. I have here a branch for my Spanish speakers. And as you see, every branch comes with a unique URL. So I want my Spanish speakers to use that URL when they sign up. And when they sign up, or when I create the account for them from the branch URL, they will be assigned automatically to the type here, country A learner. So this will save you time. You won't have to specify every time which user type the user should have when they sign up for a specific branch. But I do have a question now that I'm saying these things. What if we want to be specific and assign the correct user type for each user? Are there any options, Eirini, that you can show us?
Yes, definitely there are. So let me share my screen one more time. Great. So you can simply add user from here as an admin and assign the user type directly from here. But it's all about saving time here. So if we have a large database, we have another alternative for you, the import functionality. The import functionality is located here in the admin's dashboard. And in general, with the import functionality, you can upload data in the system en masse, like courses, branches, categories. So you can do that with users too. And you can do that with two different ways. The first option is to click here to expand the cheat sheet. For the different type of data that you can upload in the system, we have the required attributes. So in the scenario of uploading users, I'm just going to click use this example. And in this dialog box, the first line contains the required attributes in order for me to create accounts. And then each line that follows would be a user with their own details following the order of the first line. Now, at this point, I can also assign the user types. So if I simply add, sorry, typo, the user type here, this is an information that will also be included for each user that I'm uploading. So this is how I can assign en masse the correct user type for each user. The second option is to download the sample Excel file from here, which will look like this. Basically, in this file, the different type of data come in the form of different sheets. So in the scenario of users, again, the columns are the required attributes. The bio column, you can skip it. It's not necessary to be filled in. However, if you want to also assign the user type directly for each user, just create a new column here, user type, filling the file. And once you're done, drag and drop the file here, click import, and that's it. So these are the two options in order to create user accounts en masse and assign the correct user types for each user. And when it comes to the import functionality, it's not only about creating new users, you can also update information. So in case you want to change en masse user types for specific users, what you can do, of course, it works both ways, but I'm just gonna explain it here. What you need to do is keep the login attribute, which is basically the username, and then have a second attribute with the user type, fill in the details, either the columns in the Excel sheet, click import, and that's it. So this is how you can update and also create new accounts en masse with the correct user types.
Eirini, thank you. Please keep sharing because I have an advanced question for you.
Mhm.
But what can our customers do when they're dealing with exceptions? For example, a user needs to be in just a few courses assigned as a learner, but there should be courses that should contribute as an instructor. Do we need to have two separate accounts for that user so they can manage everything?
Well, you could do that, but what if I tell you that you could save time and avoid extra workload from changing user types or going back and forth in different accounts? Another shortcut for you. So in general, when you add an admin or an instructor in a course, that all they get for that course by default is the instructor one, so to be able to edit it. So if there is a need for admins and instructors to complete courses as learners, all you have to do is change the role they get in that specific course. Let's see that together. So I'm gonna switch as an instructor from here, and I'm gonna click edit in this course and click again edit course so I can access the course setting page. At this point, I'm going to check to click the users tab. And let's find an instructor. Here it is, Theo. So if I click here and click the learner, this is how I can change Theo into a learner for that specific course. So Theo can keep his administrator or instructor role, initial user type basically, but for that specific course, he turns into a learner. So now when he will log in into the system and switch into the learner's dashboard and complete this course, now I can have his progress on my reports. And even if I change him back into an instructor, the good news is that the progress is not lost. It remains in my reports, but now he can access the course again and edit it and help me out with the content. I hope this workaround works for you and save you a lot of time.
That is great. Make it a habit. Check how you're assigned to a course. If you are assigned as an instructor, that means that you can edit the training. If you're assigned as a learner, not just switching to the learner, that's the difference. If you're assigned to the course as a learner, you will be able to complete that and the progress will be shown in reports. And during this session, we explored the strategies, some tips and best practices to help you seamlessly transition between the different hats you wear. So, and now it's actually time to move to your questions. And we have made sure, as I told you at the beginning, to have more time for Q&A. It's one thing that you mentioned in your feedback. So thank you so much for always replying to our surveys. And thank you, Nick, for replying to the questions so far. I'm going to open the Q&A. And let's see, I have a question from Kike. Branches. One user could be in some branches. It looks like how groups work in another platform in any way. Excuse my English, no working. I understand, I think. Let me rephrase that. So you have one user and you are wondering if that user can belong in multiple branches. Let me share my screen. The short answer is yes. One user can be in many different branches. So you just need to go to branches, go to the users tab and start adding the users. If you are a member of one or more branches, when the user hovers the mouse over their name, they will be able to say this, switch to a branch. So without logging out, the user can transfer from one environment, let's say, so I can transfer from the main site to that specific branch. And when I log into that branch, let me show you that. I will be able to see specific things on the screen. Also, let me zoom in that for you. As a branch administrator, if we're talking that the user is an admin. So when you log in as a branch admin, you will be able to see just the users, the courses, the groups, and the reports for that specific branch. So I cannot see information that are not assigned to that branch level. And if I click the green arrow, I can go back to the main site, which you can think like the control panel of everything, because here you have access to more features that can affect the entire site. So I hope that helped. And Eirini, I think there are a lot of questions for you. Let me pass it to you now. And just unmute your mic.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry. So let me just get into the first question. A lot of questions about impersonation, as far as I can see. So there is a question from an anonymous attendee. I don't have the impersonate user in the user's page. Well, you have to check, first of all, with your user type. This is a feature that will be available only for administrators. So I would suggest to check with your super admin and see the exact permissions that you have in your user type, because maybe some permissions would be adjusted, and that probably is. In case you are the super admin, but for some reason you cannot see the impersonation, I would suggest to take a screenshot and get in touch with our awesome support team. You can reach out our support team from the help button that is located on the top right of your page, and they will get back to you with a troubleshoot solution. I hope this helps. Then there is another question from Rob. When you impersonate a user, does it give the option to see them in the admin, instructor, and learner view? That's a great question, Rob. Well, it depends on the user type. that that user has. And let me show you what I mean exactly. So let's impersonate another user together. Let's go back in the list of users and find an admin type. But let me first check something really quick. Let me check if that user has any limitations. What I'm doing right now is I'm checking if that user is a branch member and maybe that branch has some limitations, but okay, I troubleshoot really quick. So let's impersonate Aaron here. So Aaron is an admin type. Right now, I'm impersonating Aaron. So as you can see, the three roles are available. So if I switch, I'm still Aaron, but I can see the instructor's dashboard. So basically with the impersonation button, you experience what the user is experiencing. So that gives you a great aspect of testing those permissions in a great level. I hope that helps. And I think that it's back to you, Mary. There are some questions now for you from my.
Uh, yes, please. I have three questions that I would like to answer live. The first one, can I deactivate a user? Sorry, I missed that on a specific date. Yes. Again, let me show you my screen. So let's go together. Go to the Users tab, click on the user that you want to deactivate on a specific date, if that already exists, of course, and just scroll a little bit down to find this option, Deactivate at, and select the date. Now, if you are still at the beginning and you want to create users and already have this checkbox on and selected with a specific date, you can also use the import functionality. And as Eirini showed you, by adding more columns, you can add more information and also tell the system that you would like the user to be deactivated on a specific date. So just click on the cheat sheet. When you create the users, don't forget to include a column with the deactivation date. And I know it's going to sound a little bit silly, but make sure that you also have the correct date format. Okay, maybe you have a US date format and you're inserting the date here in a European. So be careful with that. And that's my answer to you. Now I have another question. Can I use my own domain name? Yes, and let me show you that. Now, by default, when you create an account with TalentLMS, you choose the first part of the URL, you give a name to the URL, but then it follows with talentlms.com. Now, if you want to hide the TalentLMS reference from your URL, just go in account settings and click domain. And here is what you have right now. We need you to map a custom domain. Now, the person that has access to your DNS settings just need to add two CNAME records. We have all the information also accessible from the help section. Here, you will need to add the custom URL and save that. Now, from that moment on, the users can use a custom URL that will direct you to the training platform, and a TalentLMS will be hidden. So yes, you could. And let me see. It was one question that I think it was for Eirini. There was a person, yeah. So Eirini, I think you marked that you would like to answer this question, but I also want to answer this question. There is a question, a user is asking, when we go to users and we search for a specific user, whether this impersonate button gets hidden. No, it's not getting hidden, but let me show you, because this is how our UI works. Everything is under options, the three-dot icon. So even when I search for a name, just hover your mouse, and do you see that? You can log in as another user. Of course, that user should be active. The only reason I cannot see the button here is because we have an inactive user. So that's the answer. Make sure the user is active and it's always there. If you have the permission to impersonate another user, it's gonna be visible. Eirini, I need some water. Can you please go on?
Definitely. So another question from impersonation. I've now just refreshed as an admin and can now see the icon. But when I search for the person, the icon, that was the question that you just answered. I'm really sorry. Sorry. So let's go into the next one. So how do we send a reminder for users who can't seem to complete their courses? Great question, although you're anonymous. So let me share my screen. For this, the notifications will come into rescue. So if we click add notification here, but let me give you a context. What are the notifications? The notifications are basically emails that will be sent out to users once an event triggers those emails. So in your question, what you need to do is click add notification and find all the events that are related with courses. So the event that is great for your case, in my opinion, is either on course assignment or even X hours after course acquisition. So you can basically use this event. Let's go for this one, X hours after course acquisition. Select the recipient. In this case, it will be the related users, the users that have been assigned to those courses. Define the hours that this notification will be sent out. Write your email template here. Just a reminder that the first line is always the body, the subject of the email. Of course, you can also use the smart tags, so you can populate those information in your email. Don't forget to add the name that will help you identify what this notification is about. Click create notification, and that's it. So this is how you can set up, how you can automate basically reminders for your users to complete their courses. I hope this will help. And there was another question that comes for if I pronounce the name right. Can you discuss the difference between branches and groups? That is a really common question. So what are the branches? The branches are independent training environments that exist in your portal. Imagine like subdomains in your main domain, and they are ideal if there is a need for you to separate your training audience, because a branch can be totally independent. It has its own logo, favicon, URL, theme, its own course catalog, its own user management settings. So if there is a need for you to separate your training audience, either because you want to create training departments depending according to your departments of your company, or if you provide internal and external training and you want to separate that, or even if you want to create an environment according to the language or the location your audience speaks, the branches are here to do the work for you. Now, the groups, on the other hand, is a feature that help us save time from course assignments. If there is a set of courses that needs to be assigned to a group of people, then you can use the groups, create basically a group, add the courses and those people in that group, and with just 2 clicks, you will assign courses en masse to those people. But the groups needs an environment to exist. So they can exist either in branches or in the main portal. So just to wrap up, the branches is the training environment where you provide a unique training to your people. The groups are the feature that will help you save time from course assignments within that branch or maybe in the main portal. I hope that helps, but if again you need more details, don't hesitate, get back to us, send us an email to trainingteam@talentlms.com and we will get back to you. Mary, are there any questions that you would like to answer? I saw that you have marked some.
Yes, I picked some. It's a question from Omar. If I impersonate a user, can I complete the courses on their behalf? Yes, because you actually log in as them. You're not like a ghost. You are actually logging in as them. You will be able to get the courses, complete them, and in the timeline, it will actually show up like the user did that. The timeline will not show you that it was Omar that actually logged in as that user and completed the course. So that's why it's a feature that is commonly used for testing. So it would be recommended if you want to test something to have a separate test learner that everybody can use for that purpose, or for troubleshooting. So you can log in as the user and see with your own eyes what is happening to your user. Now, if you want to complete courses for them, there is a quicker way to achieve that. And you can do this by importing historical course completion data. Um, You can also find this article right here, but we can have an Excel file with all the users and in which course they're assigned, and add information like they were enrolled on that date, they have already completed the course. So if you want a quicker way to complete courses on behalf of your users, you can do this with this way. And it's actually used a lot when there is external training that we need to transfer and keep it all in one place. If your training up until now was done offline, or if you had a different tool and the way you were training people, and now you can transfer everything in Talent LMS with this option. I hope this helps, Omar. Now, another question, where do I use the custom course fields? Now, for the ones that are not sure what we're talking about, in account settings, there is an option to create, let's go all the way down, extra fields for user profiles. And there, you guessed it well, usually we want more information from users. So the first name, last name, and email address may be not may be enough. So we can add extra fields and collect more information. And you can do the same for courses. You can add extra fields for courses in order to publish more information. Now, I will give you some examples how other customers are using that. Maybe you want to add an extra custom course field to declare the instructor's name. So whenever you add a course, besides filling in the necessary information Talent LMS asks you to, there's going to be an extra field somewhere here to fill in the instructor name. And how this will be useful for reporting, because this information can also appear on reports. So you can also have the course, the instructor that created the course, and how many users completed the training, etc. Or you could add the duration of the course. Of course, we track how much time each user has spent in the course, but maybe you have timed the course and you believe it lasts like an hour and you want to show that information to your users. Maybe the description will get lost, so there is a separate section to publish this information. But yeah, you can add custom course fields and add additional information that will show up to the users and to your reports. Another question, is it possible to get a report based on the location of users? Now, I need to ask something here. How do you collect this information right now? Is it by adding custom user fields? Do you have an extra field on user profiles? If the answer is yes, I have created extra fields on user profiles and then there they write their location. You can run a report about this, yes. Now, if you are on the Plus or Premium plan, you will have access to custom reports. My favorite feature, perhaps, because you will have the option to create a report and choose that you want to report about users. And here in the rules, you can say that I want to find all the users that when they filled in the location field, the extra custom field that I have created to their profile, they have typed Athens, for example. So you can generate a report based on the location when you're gathering this information this way. Add extra custom user fields, they fill in the information, and then you go to custom reports, and then we will gather just the user that selected this option. Super useful. And once I'm here, I just want to say that you can also customize the columns. So what kind of information do you want about these users? And I hope this helps. Now, another question, is there any way to have a selection of learning paths so that an instructor can enroll the users into certain learning paths? Now, I understand that you would like to restrict users to only assign users to specific courses. Now, if I am on the main side, this means that I have access to all the courses I see here. So for any course, I can add users to the training. What you would need is to restrict people to specific courses, and to achieve that, you need to use branches. Again, this feature that will allow you to create a separate training environment. By adding the instructor in a specific branch, it means they will have access to specific courses and they won't be able to add a user to a course they cannot access actually. If I see a course, I can add users. If I don't see the course, I can't add the users. So you can do that by creating separate training environments. And we have time for more questions. Please continue sending your questions. The next one, I think, Eirini?
Yes, there is a question about groups and learning paths, but it comes also from an anonymous attendee. Can groups and learning paths be used in the same way? I wouldn't say so, because when it comes to the groups, when you assign courses to users en masse, it's up to the user how they will complete the courses. It doesn't create an automate sequence. But what you can do is combine the learning path in order to do that. So let me just share my screen. And we're gonna switch into an instructor for that. So let's access the instructor's dashboard. So let's click, for example, this course. And we're gonna go here on the side, rules and path. This is where you can find the learning path. The learning path basically will give you the option to add prerequisites for this course. So if I add becoming an efficient messenger as a prerequisite for this course, that means that the user needs to complete this course first, and then they can go to this one and maybe get the certificate probably that I might have attached. It's not possible for the user to skip this. So I have created a sequence. Of course, when it comes to the prerequisites, it could be more than one. And you can also give alternatives to your users. You can be flexible. So you can add a different learning path from here. Just a note that you can add up to 4 different learning paths. So if the course catalog is available for the users, this is also up to the user to which learning path they will select in order to end up here. Now, what you can do, as we said, if those courses exist in a group, you can use the learning path. And if, for example, you have course A, course B, and course C, and you want the users to complete those courses with this order, you can make course A the prerequisite of course B and course B the prerequisite of course C. And just to go to another level, you can combine groups with the learning paths if you want to create also sequences between groups, between set of courses. So if you have a group with 3 courses, A, B, C, and another group with 3 courses, D, E, F, what you can do if you want the users to complete the groups, of course, is in a specific sequence, you can use the learning path feature here and make course C the prerequisite for course D. So this is how you can also create a sequence among the groups. I hope this helps, but again, if you want different scenarios or other alternatives, you can send us an email. The email is already posted in the chat, trainingteam@talentlms.com, and we will get back to you. And checking the Q&A, there is another question that also comes from an anonymous attendee. How can I have a content reviewer not delete units through? We want them to be able to change content, but not remove it. Well, this is something that you can achieve through the user types. So let me switch back as an administrator, sorry, and go to the user types. And let's click on the content reviewer. So I'm just going to click here. And what you need to do, you're talking about units. Okay, so as you can see on the different level of permissions that we have, we also have those arrows. If we click those arrows, we expand the nest. So we can be even more specific with the permissions we want to remove or allow in the user types. So I will expand the courses, and now I have the units. And if I expand the units, this is where I can uncheck the delete option. So you don't want them to change content. You want them to change content, but not remove it. So what you need to do is uncheck the delete box from the content, save it, and there you have it. This is how your instructors can update content, update units, but not being able to delete any of those. I hope this helps. Mary, there is a question that you just ticked that you want to answer, so I'm passing the mic back to you.
I think you understand our system. I pick questions, Eirini picks questions, and I want to answer this one. Can the discussion feature facilitate a place for a chat community of users restricted to a number of branches, but not all, and name the users within the specified branch? Yes, actually. Let me share my screen. Now, you need specific users from only specific branches to be able to access discussions in general. Now, this is the topic of the day, actually. User types. What you would need, and that's the solution, is to create a specific learner type without the permission of discussions. And this learner type will be assigned to the users of the branches that you want to not be able actually to access the feature. So you need at least two learner types. One learner type with access to discussions and another learner type without. So some will be able to see the button on the screen, so they know they can participate in discussion forums, but others will not have this button at all. So they were not going to be wondering why people are not active. They don't have the button on the screen, so we can remove that. Another idea now, if you don't want to work with different user types, is to just make the discussion specific to a group of users. Have you considered that? So I can create groups and put, for example, there are all the users that work in the marketing department. They should have a place where they can communicate and exchange ideas. But perhaps I don't want this for the people that work in finance. So I create a group for marketing. I create a group for finance. And then when I create the discussion, so when you create a new topic, you don't want everybody to see the topic. You only want the people that are in that group, and you search for marketing. So if there is no discussion for the finance team, they won't be able to, talk to each other through discussions. That's what we're showing now. So I hope this helps. I would go with the user types, to be honest. I would create two different user types. Another question from Abby, how can I make sure that when I do import users and update the existing user type, I don't make a duplicate? Short answer is that you don't have to worry about duplicates because TalentLMS does not accept duplicated accounts. I cannot be in the platform with the same username or email. So these two fields are unique. And you cannot create Mary for a second time with the second email, with the same email. So the system will not allow you to do that. So whenever you import, don't worry, as Eirini showed you, just use on the first row the login that you see here and the user type. Under login, just add all the usernames, so all the people that you would like to update, and under user type, specify which is going to be their new user type. So you will just update people. You will not be able to create a second account for them. And I have one more question. Do you offer onboarding help? Someone to fix this for us? Actually, yes. Let me show you. Now, it really depends on what plan you are currently in. So let's go together in account settings subscription. So you can check it with me. When you go to your plans, you will see which is your active plan. And if you are on a premium annual or enterprise annual plan, so I'm going to switch that filter to yearly, you will be able to see this feature, which is actually a real person and a whole team behind this feature, the account manager, a contact point for your account that will help you with the best practices and how to get the best out of your platform. And if you need onboarding help, if you want to have a team to help you and set up specific parts of the system, um, the account manager will decide the right path and assign you to the onboarding team. So yes, check your plan. If you want to know more, you can send us a message also to trainingteam@talentlms.com, and we can get back to you directly with an email. And we do have time for more questions, so please keep sending. Eirini, do you want to continue?
Yes, definitely. There is another question about the impersonation functionality. Awesome impersonation functionality. Thank you very much. Can I track who has impersonated whom though? We want to be on top of this in case someone presses the wrong button there. Well, I'm afraid it's not possible to track who has impersonated whom. That's why we suggest, basically it's a best practice here to create a test account, and if you want to do any follow-ups or what your users will experience for the assigned user types, impersonate the test account just to be on the safe side that you haven't affected any active account. But it's a really great suggestion, let's say. So I would recommend to send us an email to trainingteam@talentlms.com and forward that suggestion to our team, add it on our wish list, and of course, we will let you know if this will be in the roadmap and where you should be expected. But it's a really good suggestion there. There is another question that I would like to answer. It comes from John. Can a user be an admin in one branch, but only a learner in another? Also, I'm afraid that this is not possible to happen. Once you assign a user type to a user, that user type follows that user to whatever training environment they are. So what you can do in this case, if you have courses that your admins or instructors should complete as learners, we do recommend the changing role on a course level. And let me share my screen so we can talk about that one more time. So I'm switching again as an instructor, and I'm clicking edit to this course, and again edit to access the course setting page. Now from here, so let me just search for Theo. From here, you can change the role to an admin or an instructor, make them a learner without affecting the original user type. So if I change learner, if I change Theo into a learner here, he can still access and operate the platform as an admin, but for that specific course, he is a learner. So this is the suggestion that we have in order for you to have admins that can also complete courses as learners. Mary, there is a question for you that I think that you might want to answer. It says, I'm an admin, but why can I not put content in the course? I should have access to all features. Can you help? So I'm stop sharing and give you the floor.
Yes, so I can only assume a few things here. So maybe we will need more information. Again, you can send us an email, trainingteam@talentlms.com. Let me share my screen. So you are an admin, but you cannot add content to courses. I can only assume that you don't have the permissions. So one thing is to check perhaps with the owner or other super admins. If you have these permissions, when you go to the user type and you are an administrator, you need to be able to work on the content. So you need to have those permissions here. As an instructor, units, be able to create units in the courses. So I can assume that this is happening actually. You maybe have most of the permissions, but it's like this. So with just one click, you'll be able to also add content. And remember, you can add content to all the courses that you have the permission to add content. So when you're added to a course, make sure you're assigned as instructor, and then you will be able to edit the content, of course, if you have all the permissions. And I think there was one more question in the chat that I missed. So it was about the last question that Eirini answered. So from Anna. Yes, Anna, you are asking if an administrator can be a learner in some of the courses as Eirini showed you on the screen. You can go to any course that you want, check on the users, and when someone is an administrator, they're first assigned as admins to courses and with instructor permission. So we need to change that to learner. Why this happens? It's because in your user types, administrator's default role is set to be admin or instructor. That not only affects how they log in into the system, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session. If you select here admin, they log in and see everything as admin. It also affects which is the role the system will choose to be assigned in the course. So if you have here administrator and you're added to a course, you will first be assigned as instructor. But if I change that to learner, every time you add this administrator to a course, they will first be assigned as learners to the course. So think about this. Think if most of your users should be assigned to most of the courses as learner, and maybe you need to change the default user type. So you won't have to do this one by one later on. And let me check if we have more questions. And I hope this helped. From Marios, would Theo be able to revert to instructor admin for that course if he's the instructor admin that portal? Yes. So I understand, Mario, that you're saying if now I have changed the user from instructor to a learner. Sorry if I'm moving too fast. Here we are. So I'm changing Mary, for example, to learner. If Mary will be able to go back to that course and change that again, yes. Yes, this user will be able to change that alone because they do have access to users and they can change that for themselves. So I hope it helps. And one last question, perhaps. Can you please explain how to test new courses we create before activating the course? We have a test branch, but we don't have the full authority as we want to keep the course hidden from all other users before we complete the test. That's a good idea, actually, to have a branch just for testing purposes, add users there, and you will test the entire experience, how they log in, what courses they can see on the dashboard or the catalog. I like this idea. But you can just add your test learners. So assuming that you have created users for testing purposes directly to the course if you want to test the content. And I would do that, add real learner types to the course so I can actually see also what's going on in the reports. Otherwise, even as an instructor, I can enter a course and start completing that to test it. But if I do this that way, if I just try to complete the course this way, I will not be able to save my results and reports. That's the difference. But if you're assigned as a learner, as we saw today, yes, you will be able to also track the progress and reports. That's the best thing to do. Create a test learner for that. And with that said, I want to respect your time. I think that's it. Thank you so much, Eirini, for being an amazing co-host.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, everybody, for joining today.
And thank you for participating and posting your questions. Thank you, Nick, for answering all the questions in the backstage as well. I know that you might have more, and I want you to remind you for one last time our email address, trainingteam@talentlms.com. So feel free to send your questions and we will get back to you. And of course, we love your feedback. We have made changes to the webinar today because of your feedback. So we have also posted our survey link now on the chat. It takes less than a minute and we would love to hear your feedback. What would you expect in the webinars? What you would like to see in the upcoming ones? And you can always check what is coming up if you go to our website. If you go to talentlms.com /forward webinars, you will be able to see the upcoming ones. You can save a seat, and if you can't join, don't worry, we will send a recording or save the past webinars. We have great topics that I'm sure they will help you setting up your portal. So again, thank you everybody, and until next time, happy training. Bye-bye.